So I have a secret. I'm not Korean by birth, but I adore Asian cinema, and it's really the reason why I became a filmmaker in the first place. I find many Asian films to not be afraid of poking, the cultural boundaries and the political boundaries and the socio boundaries, and I just wanted to contribute in a small way to that legacy.
I mean, when I heard about this film festival and how they try and honor films with what is a dignity of the human spirit and overcoming adversity, and I was like, that's my thing. DeFace is custom built for that type of audience, and I was so thrilled to know that there was a film festival that honored filmmakers who want to tell those types of stories. So I think it dovetails perfectly with the themes of the Angelus Film Festival. I just had this idea of being an artist. What if we took our lives into our hands when we tried to create something? How much art would I really create if I was risking my life each time I wanted to express myself? So I thought about that as a narrative. Then, being such a lover of Asian cinema, and my wife being half Korean, I just said, North Korea, that's something that has never been done before, and I'm going to be one of the first to do it. And that was just too good. It was just too exciting, because that's a place on the planet where this really is happening, where self-expression really is taking your life into your hands. I'm a huge fan of what's called fifth-generation Chinese filmmaking. Something like Raise the Red Lantern or To Live just really had a huge influence on me when I was coming up as a filmmaker. And then just knowing the culture pretty well and having such an affection for it through my wife's family, it just seemed that I could give it a more personal touch, and simply just because it hadn't really been done before. I think there's more of an homage to Japanese and Chinese filmmaking, and I just felt the Korean peninsula was a little bit more untapped as far as getting a narrative out of it, and it was just too good to sort of be the first to tread that territory. So I come from a fine art background, and I really appreciate those films where there's limited dialogue and the filmmaker is really forced to tell the story visually, and that just excites me. That's just the type of films that I will always make. I'll always put the visual kind of first, and I'll always fight to try and see how I can eliminate words and have the most come out through the visual means. And so making him a graffiti artist it just seemed to write itself, because they really do have these huge billboards, and it's illegal to touch them, and these big blue and red sort of faded propaganda posters, and it was the perfect character to tell this type of story. I mean, so much of it happened so fast that I sort of go back and study this film as kind of like what I did right, so I can try and do it again. But looking back on it, I think it's completely the fact that one, there's not like a lot of forced history. It's what I call like eating your vegetables when you watch movies, when there's like a lot of text at the beginning and the end, especially for a narrative, meaning like documentary, that works a lot better. But for me, I feel like when I avoided that, I could have the audience concentrate on the narrative, and then just simply making it about a man who loses his daughter, which is simply something that everyone on the planet can relate to.